Decode, demystify, learn. BQ Learning. Only on Bloomberg Quint.
Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Ask BQ on Bloomberg Quint Live. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza. Well, this is the show where we get to where you can ask all your equity-related queries. You can send them to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or you can also write your queries on WhatsApp. The details are flashing there on your screen. If you want to call us, pick up your phone right now. Call us on 022-4540-4141. You can also mail us your queries at askbq@bloombergquint.com. Just add the AskBQ hashtag. Well, let's get in our two experts of the day then. Aditya Agarwala of Securities and Vikas Sethi of Sethi Finmart are here to answer all your queries. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and good afternoon to both of you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Well, before we get to the individual queries, let's take a look as to what's happening with the markets right now. Clearly, it's turning out to be a great session on day one of the May series. There was a late hour expiry rally that we saw in yesterday's session, and that momentum continues. In fact, Nifty is inching very closer to that mark of 10,700. The futures have already crossed that mark in today's session. Let me remind you, the rally today has been contributed by the banking stocks, which have gained from the likes of SBI or beat ICICI Bank. As you can see, the Nifty PSU banking index is up nearly 4.5%. The Nifty private banking index is up nearly 1% in trade as we speak. Let's just pull up the contributors list and tell you which are the stocks that are contributing to the gains that we're seeing on Nifty. Reliance Industries tops the list like yesterday. Remember, the company also comes out with its earnings today. It's crossed the mark of 1,000. Let's see how the earnings pan out. And also your biggies like ICICI, State Bank of India, and a surprise move by Axis Bank, where we were waiting to see how the stock opens today after the numbers disappointed the street. Surprisingly, the stock's been gaining in today's session. Well, what's capping the moves on the upside? IT Pack is seeing some bit of profit booking, so you do have stocks like TCS and HCL Technologies right now which are trading in the red, and the Nifty IT is your top sectoral loser for the day. Just want to take you through a couple of the PSU banking index gainers. You've got stocks like Andhra Bank, Oriental Bank, Union Bank, as well as something like Bank of India. All of them have seen gains of between 4 to 7%. Well, ahead of big earnings today, Reliance Industries is gaining 2.5% there. Maruti Suzuki will come out with its numbers anytime now, so that's trading with gains of nearly 1.7%. Couple of earnings reaction. Rallis came out with its numbers yesterday. That's seen a downtake. Remember, the margins were not so great for this company. Biocon, despite of a growth seeing on the top line, the stock's been trading in the red territory, and Reliance Capital is seen gains of almost 2%. Gainers from the broader markets, which too are doing pretty well in today's session. GKW Limited, this counter was locked in upper circuit yesterday, so second straight day when it's been locked in upper circuit. Pioneer Distilleries is up 16%. That's touched its fresh 52-week high. And what a week it has been for HIL Limited. Remember, the earnings had come out. The stocks gained nearly 35% for the week now. On the losing side, you've got PC Jewelers, Gati, Reliance Naval. All of them are seeing cuts off between 4 to 8% right now. Well, that's about the markets, which are doing well, but let's get going and address our viewer queries. Our first query comes from Venkat Sai, who writes to us on YouTube. He has 1,000 shares of Future Consumer, which he bought at a price of 62 rupees with a 3 to 6 month view, and he wants to know what to do with this investment. If you could just pull up the chart of Future Consumer, it slipped below Venkat's buy price. I'm going to take this query to Aditya. He has a time horizon of 3 to 6 months. Fundamentally, I've just seen a lot of reports pouring in for this company, but if somebody's bought around the levels of 62, what would you advise them to do?
Okay, so the stock has entered into a consolidation phase, and it's moving in a downward sloping channel. And the lower end of the channel is placed close to about 54 to about 55. That is where I would recommend him to keep the stop as well. close to about 54 to 55. And the moment it crosses 64, stock can shoot up to levels of 68 to about 72. So definitely the stock is into a bullish zone. Continue to hold with a stop close to about 54 to 55, and the gentleman can see levels of 68 to 72 here.
All right, so 68 is the target which Aditya has. So Venkat, you can hold on to this investment of yours, which you bought around the mark of 62 rupees. Let's move on. Ashish Gupta writes to us on YouTube, and he wants to invest in Ashok Leyland with a one-year view counter, which has been outperforming this year. He's asking if it is advisable to put money at current levels. Let me take this question to Vikas. Vikas, it's a one-year investment for a company which is trading around its lifetime high levels. Do you think the risk-reward will be in favor of the reward if somebody is willing to put their money at current levels?
Yeah, good afternoon, Navneet. Now, as far as Ashok Leyland is concerned, it's an excellent company. The stock has given tremendous returns to long-term investors over the last 2 to 3 years. But at these levels, the stock looks a bit expensive in the sense with the kind of returns which it has already witnessed. So since he is willing to invest from a long-term point of view, I would recommend investing into this stock, but he could wait for some correction, some declines in line with the markets. If the market corrects and the stock also comes down from its current levels by around say 5 to 7%, I think that would be a good time to invest into this company. The month-on-month numbers have been good, and the company has been doing pretty well. So I continue to remain bullish, but I would recommend waiting for a while, expecting the stock to decline by 5 to 7% before making a fresh entry.
Okay, wait for some bit of dip is the advice coming in from Vikas for Ashok Leyland. Remember, the March sales number, especially from the commercial vehicle segment, has been pretty buoyant, so watch out for that one. Well, our next query is from Yash Vora. I think he's on the line with us from Mumbai. Yash, if you could hear us, tell us what's your query on.
Yeah, ma'am, I have 100 shares of JM Financial and at the rate 150, and 100 shares of Asian Granito at the rate 540. So I can hold it for a year or more. So what is the perspective on both these stocks?
Yash, when exactly did you buy these shares, and then any specific reason for entering in only these two shares?
Actually, I bought it around 5-6 months back. So JM Financial, I just got it because I mean, it was the cheapest amongst the NBFCs.
Okay.
And Asian Granito, I got it because of, the trend of housing for all. So just based on that trend, I purchased Asian Granito.
Fair enough, Yash. I'll take your query to Vikas. Vikas, first on JM Financial, actually the stock has been active today. Yesterday, I was just observing the stock's been moving higher. He's bought 100 shares at a price of 150. The current price is 138, and he's willing to hold on for the next 1 year. What would you advise him to do?
Navneet, as far as JM Financial is concerned, I somehow feel Edelweiss would be a better bet from the financial services sector. Although it's sitting on small losses, I would recommend that he books his losses in JM Financial and switches to an Edelweiss Finance. I think Edelweiss comparatively would give him much better returns since he has a long-term point of view.
Aditya, do you have any view on the charts for JM since it's been moving higher?
Clearly, so the stock has been moving higher, as you clearly pointed out, and I'm bullish on the stock here. So the gentleman can actually hold on to the stock at current levels and look at a target of 170 to about 165.
Okay, 165 or 170 is the target. Technically, Yash, which Aditya has put out. And his second query, let me address that on Asian Granito. Can we pull up that counter? He's bought 100 shares at a price of 540 rupees, and I guess it's below his buy price. Vikas, what's the view on this one? Can he look to hold on Asian Granito?
Yeah, Navneet, I would recommend a hold on Asian Granito, and a very good company, strong fundamentals, and the space which this company operates in has tremendous potential with the kind of focus which the government has on housing. So most of the companies from this sector are doing well, and I think Asian Granito would be a good bet to hold on to from a say medium to long-term perspective. Although the investor is sitting on some losses, I think he would recoup his losses and make some gains if he continues to hold on to the stock for about a year.
Okay, Yash, we hope that your queries are answered. Thanks a lot for calling us. Asian Granito, as suggested by Vikas, you can look to hold on to those queries. Well, we're getting a lot of your live queries on our social media platforms. Let me go across to them. This one comes on YouTube. Abhishek Gupta writes to us, well, once again, a query from the sugar sector, which has been reeling under pressure, holding shares of Dhampur Sugar at a price of 300 rupees with a long-term view. And, well, he wants to average it out, looks like, at current levels. He's asking if he can add more now. Let's pull up the chart of Dhampur Sugar. Oh my God, he's bought at 300 and the current price is 91. Abhishek, before I go to Vikas to get his view, just to tell you, this sector has been reeling under pressure. The reasons for the same are the production for this year has been higher, because of which we've seen sugar prices going down. Vikas, what would you suggest? He wants to average around the levels of 90. Should he exit? Should he wait for a little bit more to get better levels to exit? What would you advise him to do?
Now, my clear advice would be not to average the sugar stocks at these levels. I think sugar cycle is at its peak. The sugar prices have come down and they are trading at their lowest levels in the last 8 years. And I think it will take time for the fundamentals of sugar companies to improve from here on. So my clear recommendation would be to sell whatever he has, despite the fact that he'll be incurring huge losses. But I think he should sell Dhampur Sugar and switch to some other sector or some other stock where he might recover his losses in the times to come. Sugar is a clear no at the current, looking at the current scenario, the current production scenario and the current prices which are prevailing in the markets.
Okay, sugar is a big no. That's what Vikas is suggesting, and that's what actually the industry trends are suggesting. We've seen selling coming across the board for every sugar company. Dhampur Sugar is a sell right now, though some bit of recovery seen in today's trading session. Well, the banking pack has been in focus, and we are getting queries for ICICI Bank. On Twitter, Ayush Malik writes to us, and he wants some views on ICICI Bank. Aditya, it's been reeling under pressure, but it's gone up today because the entire pack is up. But do you think ICICI Bank has bottomed out? If somebody now wants to create a fresh position on the upside, it can be taken?
So definitely stock has witnessed a sharp correction in recent times. But if I take a look at the charts, they definitely look to have formed a temporary bottom, to say. So I will not be too bearish in ICICI Bank at current levels. One can look to buy the stock at current levels, keep a stop close to about 270, 275, and I'm looking at a target of 325 to about 330 here.
330 is the target you suggested in the short term?
In the short term, right.
Okay, so that's a buy coming in from Aditya. That's a technical buy, remember, and he has a target price of 330 rupees on ICICI Bank. It's a heavyweight on both Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. Let's move on to our next query. This one comes on YouTube, and we've got Raghavendra, who's written to us. He's asking that if you could suggest any mid-cap IT stock that Raghavendra can look to invest in with a long-term view. And, well, this is the theme which has worked out, at least so far in 2018, Vikas. Majority of the stocks, be it Mindtree, NIT Tech, which has had a stellar run-up this week. You also have something like Tata Elxsi. Now, looking at the valuations at these higher levels, do you think somebody should make a fresh investment?
Yeah, Navneet, the sector still looks good despite the fact that they've all run up in the past 6 months. When the markets were not doing well over the last 2 months, these stocks have clearly outperformed. With the kind of results which have been declared by the biggies like TCS and Infosys, I think mid-cap IT stocks also would continue to do well. And with the rupee also weakening recently, I think that would be an added advantage to these IT companies. And among the mid-cap IT stocks, the 3 names which you have given, they all look good. And I would like to add a few more names in that category. KPIT also looks good, and Hexaware also could be one stock which could be considered. So the list would mean KPIT, Hexaware, and then Mindtree, NIT Tech, and even Cyient also looks good.
Okay, let's wait and watch whether there are more legs to the rally that we've seen across the board for majority of these IRE companies, be it mid-cap or large-cap companies. Let's move on to our next query. Nand Kishore Dawale writes to us on YouTube, and he wants a view on Shriram Transport Finance with a short-term perspective. Aditya, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday also the counter was in green. Today also we've seen mild bit of gains. The price is okay. I think it's come off today's high. Currently it's trading in the red. What's the short-term view here?
Okay, though the stock has come down in the red, but if I take a look at the shorter term charts, they're definitely bullish. Stock continues to make new highs, so that's a very added advantage. When the stock continues to make higher highs, that is an indication of strength. So I would recommend holding on or probably buying even at current levels in this intraday dip that we have seen. Stock can be headed to levels of 1700 and higher in the shorter term, so it's a buy or a hold at current levels.
Okay, it's a buy or a hold for Shriram Transport. If somebody's already taken a position, you can hold, but is it a fresh buy at current levels?
Definitely.
Okay, you can look to make a fresh buy also at these levels, technically, is what Aditya is suggesting. I'm just going to shift focus and talk about some earnings which came out. Biocon, remember I highlighted at the start of the show, the top line was up for the quarter. It did meet street estimates for the fourth quarter. Nishant Sharma caught up with the company's CMD, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, and began by asking her about the segmental performance of the company. Listen into that conversation.
What these numbers really tell you are that when it comes to biologics, the reason you're seeing this very strong, robust growth is because of our performance in emerging markets. Now, if you recall, in Q2 and Q3, we actually saw some headwinds hitting our biologics business, largely because we had to take a plant shutdown in order to respond to certain regulatory requirements that were observed during previous inspections, especially by the European authorities. And that, of course, greatly sort of impacted us in terms of being able to deliver the full potential in terms of biologics in the emerging markets. What you're seeing in Q4 is the fact that the plant is fully operational. Biologics is back on in terms of its business track. And we've delivered a strong quarter on biologics. When it comes to research services, the same kind of holds true because last fiscal, it had muted performance because of the fire incident. The fire incident is behind us, and therefore you're seeing a very strong normalized growth momentum in the research services business. So as we enter FY19, at least these two business verticals get a head start with a strong, robust kind of growth momentum. When it comes to small molecules, no doubt, I mean, generics continue to face strong commoditization headwinds. And we still are confident that we should be able to deliver at least modest single-digit growth in FY19. When it comes to branded formulations, I think UAE has done extremely well. It has delivered a very robust growth momentum, and it will continue to do that in FY19 because we've also just entered the UAE market with our insulin glargine, which is the first biosimilar that we have launched in the UAE market. As far as India is concerned, we've faced a lot of pressures, GST, price control, and a lot of competitive pricing pressure in the Indian market. But I think going forward, I think we can leverage a lot of what is happening globally to steady our business in India and probably get much higher market share. And probably we want to make sure that our value growth is higher than our volume growth. In terms of getting better realization for the business. Now, going forward into FY19, I really believe that we should be able to deliver decent growth across our business verticals, but still basically propelled by biologics and research services.
Right, and talking about the domestic market, how do you see the distribution products ramping up here?
I think we've been a specialty company. And I think we've added a second oncology product, which is our Krabeva, to our CanMab. And we will actually strengthen the oncology focus in a very different way than we have done in the past. We are focusing a lot on sales, performance on the ground. We are focusing a lot on further differentiation and a strong focus on a value-based kind of prescriptive way forward. So hopefully we should be able to see a better performance of our India business.
All right, that's some commentary coming in from Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw of Biocon, clearly saying that biologics as a segment did pretty well in the emerging market space. The top line, however, of the company was up 26%. Bottom line growth this time around was quite muted. Let's take some more queries that we're getting. Shivani Dhanuka on YouTube is saying she's holding 500 shares of HDFC Life at a price of 530 rupees. She wants to know if she can add more or book profits. Well, she's not suggested any time horizon since she's willing to book profits. Aditya, I'm going to come to you. The current price is just about at 536, so she's 6 or 7 rupees in the money. What will you suggest?
Okay, so this is one of the outperformers in the space. HDFC Life, it has outperformed all other peers. And if I take a look at the charts, it's extremely bullish on the charts. I would not recommend booking out profits at current levels. Rather, if the stock corrects close to about 520 to 518, it's a good level to re-enter into the stock. And I'm looking at a target of 600 and higher here. So
600?
Yes.
What's the time horizon?
Probably 6 months.
Okay, in 6 months, you're expecting the price of HDFC Life to touch nearly 600 rupees. Okay, in fact, it remains a favorite of majority of the fundamental analysts as well who track the life insurance space. Despite of higher valuation, it is quoting compared to SBI Life or ICICI. Still, it remains one of the favorites. Let's move on. Our next query, I guess, is an idea that's coming from Jyoti, who writes to us on YouTube. Jyoti has bought 1,000 shares of Idea at a price of nearly 73 rupees. She wants to know if she should add. No, actually, she doesn't want to know if she should add. She wants to know if she can hold on to these shares. And if I'm not mistaken, the current price of Idea is below the buy price of Jyoti, 73. Yes, it's at 70 rupees. Vikas, I'm going to come to you. The results are going to come out tomorrow for Idea. There was some bit of weakness seen in yesterday's session, some bounce back, however, seen in today's trade. Do you think it's a stock which can be, which somebody can look to, keep in their portfolio?
Not really, Navneet. Actually, telecom is a sector which I do not like from an investment point of view. Tomorrow, if the company reports better set of numbers, it might see a trading bounce back, but then I think that should be the time to book out of telecom sector. The sector is not doing well, and I do not see much ahead, actually, with the kind of regulations which the government has and the kind of stiff competition which Reliance Jio is giving to them. I think telecom as a sector would not perform. So I would recommend that the investor books losses at the current levels or wait for tomorrow's results. If the results are in line with the numbers which Bharti had reported, and if the stock goes up after that, then I think that would be the best time to exit this stock and shift to some other good quality sector or stock to recoup his or her losses.
Not surprised by your advice, because clearly incumbents like Bharti and Idea, which have been facing pricing pressures, the ARPUs have been falling because of the sort of pricing pressure that exists now in the industry. Well, moving on from Idea, our next query comes in on Interglobe Aviation, and this one comes in from Siddharth Rawat, who writes to us on YouTube. He's asking if this is the right time to invest his money into Interglobe Aviation. His time horizon is only about 1 to 2 months. Okay, it's seen a good correction, Aditya, 4.5%. Do you think it should be bought on these dips?
Okay. No, Navneet, I think the stock has witnessed a sharp correction today after a significant rally. So I'm not looking at buying at current levels, rather I'm looking on a correction, and I will buy on a correction minimum another 5 to 6% correction from current levels. That is the level I look at to buy the stock.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Interglobe Aviation. On YouTube, Sanu P. Saji writes to us, and Sanu wants to know, he wants a view on Delta Corp. Remember, the company came out with its earnings. FY18 has been really, really good for Delta Corp. They also introduced the online gaming business. He's asking, is it okay to buy now for long term? Vikas, Delta Corp, do you think at current levels it's been doing pretty well considering the sort of performance that we've seen in FY18? Do you think at current levels it can be bought?
Yeah, Navneet, Delta Corp is a good stock to be in. I would advise buying into the stock even at the current levels. The stock has corrected from its recent highs, but with the kind of results which the company declared recently and the kind of potential which the company has, I think over a longer period of time from here on also we could see substantial upside. So I would recommend investing into Delta Corp at the current price.
Okay, that's the view on Delta Corp. This year, in fact, on YTD basis, we've definitely seen some correction, but last two quarters have been really good for the company, currently quoting at about 268. Well, on that note, I would like to thank both our guests. Thank you very much, Aditya and Vikas, for joining us today and helping our viewers with their queries. Well, it's earnings season and Shriram City Union Finance posted their earnings for the fourth quarter. The company shifted to the 90-day past due norm of recognizing NPAs, which actually hurt the earnings in this quarter. Lakshmi, Narasimhan, Executive Director and Head Investor Relations of Shriram City Union, joins us on the show. And also joining from our research team is Shraddha Bavla to take this conversation forward. Shraddha, over to you.
Thanks, Navneet. Good afternoon, sir. The growth momentum has only improved for you this quarter, with disbursements ex-gold rising by about 50%. Do you expect a similar run rate for FY19 as well? And, you know, at least in this quarter, MSME growth has driven this overall AUM growth. Will that be a similar trend in FY19 as well?
Yeah, I think the growth in quarter four was definitely in line with what we expected to happen. And as we head into the next financial year, our guidance is our overall AUM growth should be over 20%. And our normal ROE levels should come back into existence, because now we are stabilized at 90 plus in terms of NPA recognition norms. So we are seeing traction in the SME and the two-wheeler book, plus the personal loan segment. All these three segments are looking to grow during the next financial year.
Right. Sir, I understand that your gross NPAs in this quarter have moved out on account of migration to the 90-day DPD recognition norms. But is this trend expected to reverse from here onwards? Can that gross NPA number come down to 6 or 7% sort of a number by FY19 end?
Yeah, that'll be ambitious to get to the 6-7% number by March 2019. What we are looking at is as follows. Considering the elevated levels of provision that we needed to make for migration of one bucket to the other, and now since that is baked in completely, we expect our overall credit cost to drop from the existing 4.1% for March 2018 to anything like 3.1. So there's 100 basis points saving on the credit cost that we would expect as we head into the next financial year. Essentially because the portfolio quality of the business that we have sourced during the last year and a half has been behaving better than the portfolio that we sourced prior to that. With a normal tenor of about 36 months for the SME book, I suppose this would take shape during the next financial year in terms of the portfolio quality improving on an overall basis.
All right, so thank you very much for joining us and speaking with us here on Bloomberg Quint. Completely running out of time. So that was the management of Shriram City Union Finance. Credit costs expected to go lower in the next year, and growth momentum expected to continue. Back to you, Navdeep.
Thanks a lot, Shraddha. And we've also got Bandhan Bank's numbers, which are flashing there on your screen. The numbers have been good, and that's the reason why the stock has actually inched higher. The asset quality has improved. The profits have gone up by almost 20% for this quarter. Remember, it got listed last month itself, so this is the first quarterly numbers which have come out from this bank. Okay, that's all that we have on this edition of Ask BQ. But remember, we're just a tweet, post or a call away, so keep your queries coming, and we promise to address all of them through our shows. You can also log on to bloombergquint.com, search for hashtag AskBQ, and get answers to all the queries that were discussed on the show today. Well, Power Lunch is up next. Keep watching Bloomberg Quint.